Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to yet another episode reaction for ReZero. I know that it's been a very long time. I do deeply apologize. It's been probably close to a month at this point by the time this is uploaded since I have uploaded an episode reaction for this series. And yeah, it's not because I wasn't enjoying it. It's not because I didn't want to or anything like that. It was simply because of my schedule, how busy I was, and just everything that was going on, and the fact that I was reacting also to The Summer Hikaru Died, and that was the series I wanted to start and finish within the month of October. Sadly, that didn't happen. I kind of went over by a few days into November, so I was putting all my attention into that to finish it within the month of October. And yeah, now that we're finished, The Summer Hikaru Died, which was incredible, by the way. If you haven't seen those episode reactions, the playlist I will put in the description below. You can go check that out. It was absolutely phenomenal, but we are ready now to return to the world of ReZero. It has been so long that I'm honestly struggling to even actually remember where it was that we left off. I think the last episode was the one where Emilia went through the second trial and everything. Subaru was shoved out of the room from Beatrice, and you know, just all of that stuff going on. I think that's where we left off, so we're going to see where we pick up from here. We're going to see what continues going forward, if we'll set up for the final episodes, or if we'll start to see this season kind of conclude itself from this episode on. We'll start to see, because there's still a lot of unknown. And yeah, if you guys enjoy these videos, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Comment down below letting me know if you're currently watching any seasonal anime that is airing right now. Hit the bell down below if you would also like to be notified when videos like this one do go live on the channel. And of course, share this with someone who you think might enjoy episode reactions to ReZero or any of the other series that we've checked out on the channel at this point. And yeah, why don't we just dive right into this one? ReZero, Season 2, Episode number 23. Let's go. Holy shit, that was loud. That was a... Okay, we're kicking things off with Elsa. Jeez. And our boy Garf. Who got cut there? Garf? Okay. Holy shit. Did you take her eye out with your fingers? Oh no, never mind. Just got a good hit in. Bro, it's not just women, it's people like you. Your wounds... What? How do your wounds heal instantly? How does that work? What if we cut you up? Can you heal? Can you piece yourself back together? They're gonna get it done. Cut to him. Yeah. I was gonna say cut to him and they're gonna be running. Otto, come on, you're the only one who can do something here. Speak to them, Otto, please. Yep. We need to put on a brave face for Petra, and we need to get Rem out of here. What does that mean? We don't have a phone with us? Are we gonna steal a brain rot? Like, what's gonna happen here? Okay. Shit. Giant dog. I'm gonna dive out of the way. Yeah. Fire? Are we starting a fire? The candelabra fell over? Dust? What's that gonna do? Were we hoping to cause an explosion? That's really funny. Oh, finally the oil! Shit, the oil. The oil came back to be important. That's really funny. Shit, we just killed it with fire? Spot shot? Damn, look at that doggy. Who knows? Oh, yep, we're starting a fire in the whole building. That's not good. Too much oil. That's exactly what he said. We do gotta run. Otto. Oh shit, we're entrusting Ram with Otto. They're going through Roswell's secret and whatever it's called room. Why not? But why? Are we going to face Melee? Yeah. Okay. Aww. We're all gonna like her. Petra's not the type to tease. Yo, look at this Sephiroth shot. That's crazy. Wow, just running into the flames. Yet to come, it is the future! Okay, this is going to be very interesting. What will she see in her future? Is Subaru going to be present? It's a vast emptiness. Stars? We know that a lot of the characters are named after stars, so... Jeez. War-torn. Destroyed. You're not talking to Subaru, right? Who would you be saying you hate to? Is it an unchangeable future though? Surely the future can alter. Subaru's voice with the stars. Granddaughter? Oh, I can't read all of this. Ron? Is that Julius? Okay, Gar. Oh, screw you, Roswell. She is taking the brunt of all of this. I wish I could tell you whose voices those were, because that was intense. That was a lot. Sensory overload. Ram? You can't remember her. So how do you see her? Okay, but we're seeing Subaru as well like this, so it's not just because it's Ram that it's got this filter over it. Is that trying to tell us that Subaru will also be... What's the name? Batenkaitos? Something about Lai Batenkaitos? And both of them will fade out of memory? Like the future will exist without either of them? Yeah, what are we doing in the witch's tea party? Eat some cookies. Okay. You brought this? Damn. We're not scared of you. Crazy. What is her deal with Amelia? Why does she hate her so? Yeah. Lots of really sad worlds. A possible one. But maybe we were seeing possible ones because of Return by Death. Mean Girls. Well, because we just learned it's a possible future. Or possible futures, but yeah, exactly, it's not guaranteed we can change it. Yeah, anything is possible. That's it, that's the spirit. That's my Amelia right there. Oh. They will not. You have so many people by your side. Your mother. Ooh. What do you mean you can't tell us more? What do you mean? Just tell us. Why would you say that in the first place? Why would you tease us like that? It was a promise though. Aww. That's the mother that chose you. You know, yeah. She's not crying. You're not mother, right? I wouldn't think so. Strange. The barrier will be opened. We're doing it. We're doing the damn thing. That's really cute. That's so adorable. And the barrier is no more. All thanks to Amelia being the absolute GOAT. She did it. She did it all by herself. With the support of Manny. It is open. Shit. We're actually just in phase 2. Whoa. It's like a branching nervous system of consciousness or something. I don't know. What are all these little gems? Echidna's body? Oh, okay. Those are flowers. That is Echidna. Is this her way of... Shit. The butterflies! Everything we did to get to this point. Damn, look at that. The barrier is no more. The sanctuary is no longer keeping these people away. The original purpose of the sanctuary is no more. Times have changed and the people have changed with it. Crazy. An eerie silence. Something's gonna happen, isn't it? Oh my god. Oh jeez. Oh, get Beatrice right now. Subaru, you gotta get Beatrice. That's our only hope right now. Oh, Jesus, snowy. Oh. He certainly is, but I love this confidence that Garf has. It's so funny. Oh shit, it's the rhino. Or is it a hippo? Gafu. The sisters, and then it shows those two as well. I hadn't even thought of that, a 2v2. That's fun. We're gonna start over from 0. Mealy's got the Mabis on the sidelines, just waiting. Reed? Who's it? Reed? Someone who's crazy. Someone called him out. Someone who understands these things. Wow, look at that. She caught her. Ooh. Oh, that's cool. Stay behind me. That's not going to happen. Both of them want to help out, I'm sure. This is no longer a 1v1. This is a 2v2. We need to settle this. So look at this. The The fight of the ages. Jeez. The cloak is off? Oh, it is a 2v2. No, the cloak is still on, okay. Oh, that's cool! That took off half her head. But she's gonna regenerate, right? It's not to do with the brain or anything. Something about her just allows her to regenerate. Oh, that transformation is so cool! This thing's getting bigger too? Or is it just pushing back? Jeez! Twisted his neck so hard it snapped. Like one of those ice pops that you twist that has the two things in the middle. Slave driver? Wait, what? Is something wrong? Shit. We're gonna keep fighting. Vampire? Oh shit, what? An actual vampire? That's a thing in this world? One of the witches was a vampire. I would guess it's I can't remember her name, but the one in the coffin? Precious. Wow, he reads up. Gusteko, the land of the north where I was born. Shit. Anything you could do to survive? Ugh. Yeah, that man deserved what he got. But I don't know if everyone deserves what you give them, Elsa. He is endearing. I agree. Psycho. We are going to fight to the death. After I kill you. The way they say each other's names. That's a sign of respect right there. Jeez. Elsa is psychotic. Oh shit. One of the shields is broken. Oh, she throws it all the way to help Melee. But Frederica helped Melee in time. And now your back is turned. Yep, there it is. You showed a sign of weakness. They're both acting like vampires right now. Shit. Damn. Is it not healing? Oh shit. Not even transformed. Look at the blood all over him. Life flashes before your eyes. Is that it? Love me down to my blood and guts. That's such a funny title because it's so it's such a great title for what we just saw. We're outside now. Shit, I forgot about this fight going on. So much is going on. To bring you outside.
無論それでも君の目的は果たせるはずだが、それは狙わないのかい？
大精霊様に足止めをお願いして、その間にですか。
That's not. Yeah, that's not what we're doing. You jester.
そんなことをしても
I know it's not what she said,
ラ
but
ムの願いは永劫に果たされませんから。
いつからリアに術をかけた？
Leah.
聖域に出向く前に
What
スバ
spell?
ル君と喧嘩して気落ちしているエミリア様とあなたとの契約に細工するくらいはたやすい。
君はリアにへこたれたままでいてほしかった。
What a ass.
最も苦心したと言っていい。彼は悲願のための最後の鍵だ。断じてマナ娘を預けるに足るか試す程度に考えているあなたとは違う。
My dear daughter?
その分だと契約以前のことを思い出したのか。
Oh.
推測は多分にあるさ。でも君によく似た喋り方の男のことは思い出した。
Who would that man
傷
be?
を覚えておくためか、それとも戒めかな。どっちにしても後ろ向きだな。
Oh, that man would be Hector, right?
そうですとも。私は後ろを常に過去を見ている。私にとって素晴らしいものは全て過去にしかない。
Nothing in the present or future.
亡きの上に立つまやかしだ。
ベティが悲しむね。
Aww.
うる。
Oh.
からって大人げない。
Just because I hit the bullseye.
遅い。
Shit. Punched her in her gut in the ovaries.
私は至極残念だよ、ラム。君には悲願を、同族の王法を叶え、幸せになってもらいたかった。
Yeah, getting justice starts with you.
あれだけ繰り返しても、あれだけ触れていても、
Wow, this OST right
気づ
now?
いてもいない。ただの復讐期で晴れたなら、この胸痛まずに済んだ。
This is beautiful. This OST.
ロズワール様を愛しています。
I don't like that. Very Stockholm syndrome. I mean, we knew that. Did we know that?
本心を告げただけです。
そんなはずがあるものか。私を愛する？何を言っている？憎き相手だ。君にとって故郷を滅ぼした原因に関わる。
You can't control what someone else feels.
殺したいほど憎んでいたはずだ。
始まりはそうでも、今は違います。
Literal Stockholm syndrome.
あなたを愛しています。
In such a cheap emotion, didn't you love Once Upon a Time? You loved Echidna?
同胞たちに悪いという気持ちはあります。
That's crazy.
僕はマナ娘の次に恋する女の子の味方だからね。
That's really funny. Let's not bring about the winter through this fight. Petty tricks. Reflections in the ice.
どこを見ている？
Look, it's Big Puck. Oh. Wow, look at that. It's actual, like, it's this Puck. It's not like the... I can't remember the name they gave it back in the movie, but that's really funny. Oh, shit, the horn? Damn, look at that. Aww. She put everything into that. Did you steal the book? It is the book, right? Yes! That's what we were after! Damn. She says she loved you, Roswell, and all you can do right now is think about someone else that you love, so... You cannot really speak ill of the words of someone in love. There it goes. Burning the book. The source and root of all the problems that you could see. She did? That's crazy! What? I didn't expect her to die right at the end. Unless she didn't die, who knows? She's not dead until we get that confirmation, I guess. Wow, that was a powerful episode. On one hand, I'm not crazy about the Stockholm Syndrome kind of aspect of the story, but the story of finding love and those emotions being so strong that you look past everything else and, you know, it transcends anything, I think was really, really powerful, and I love that aspect so much. And that was Season 2, Episode number 23 of ReZero Starting Life in Another World. First off, holy shit. This is the episode I left off on? This is what I had coming? Peak was on its way? I'm not saying that it wasn't peak beforehand, it's just like, holy shit, this episode had everything. It had incredible action, it had very well set up action, and wow. It also then had such an emotional core with the finale with Ram and Roswell, of course. And then also throw back in there, you know, the witches stuff with Amelia and getting that storyline move forward and seeing her go through another trial and come through it and her character development further and further and further. Like, honestly, this is maybe one of, if not the best episodes of this season, for sure. I say this season because, you know, season 1, there are a couple of episodes in there that are just so special and dear to me that, you know, it's almost unfair for later seasons to kind of compare to those episodes. So I'm not going to try to compare, you know, the series as a whole, but within this season, this certainly has the potential of being the best episode. I know that there are still a couple more episodes to come, so I'm going to hold off on for sure saying that, but maybe so far this might be my favorite because it had everything, even down to that last moment with Ram saying she loved Roswell, despite the fact that, you know, it was very clear I wasn't on board with that because of, you know, Stockholm Syndrome. I still love the writing because it's great writing at the same time. I don't think it was kind of cheap and you know, unwell written or whatever. Like, it makes sense for her character. She was a child when she was brought on in by Roswell, and it's kind of the only person she really grew up that she looked up to from a certain age until now. So I'm not saying that that's why she loves him, but it certainly does help with the fact, it certainly makes sense for a character in her position to have those feelings. And it also is a great way at kind of giving this idea and story of love transcends all. The fact that she is who she is and what she's gone through and everything, and I think it's great writing. I'm not really super over the moon but I think it is great writing at the same time. And at the same time, we knew this from all the way back season 1, so this isn't a surprise to us. I guess over the course of the past handful of episodes, I kind of had hopes that she had been playing him this whole time. But even when she was speaking to Amelia, she said she loves him and she just wants the book gone, essentially. So everything that we saw here makes a lot of sense. It didn't just come out of nowhere. But once again, it's another scene where Roswell has been proven wrong. We saw it with Subaru calling his bluff, and everything that happened like a bunch of episodes ago when Subaru came to him. He had been proven wrong, Roswell. And we see here yet again, Ram is proving Roswell wrong, because Roswell has these ideas and this notion in his head that her goal and her dream, whatever the actual word that they use for it, is to take him out, kill him, and be done with him because of having revenge for her brethren, the other demons that were taken out. But she even says herself, her feelings and what she wants, she holds more dear than those of the dead. So yeah, that's absolutely crazy in all honesty, but it also makes me wonder, would she also feel this way if she could still remember Rem? Has that knowledge of Rem disappearing affected anything, perhaps, because she no longer feels like she has someone to fight for? She's fighting for herself. So is she thinking selfishly? Has her character changed, is basically what I'm asking, because we know she would always put Rem first in any situation. But now that she can't remember Rem, is she doing these things that she maybe wouldn't have done in the past? So taking it back to the beginning of the episode, we start with the fight between Garf and Elsa. And within that fight, of course, we are treated to the knowledge that Elsa cannot die. Her wounds will re-heal. Her wounds will heal her instantly. So it leaves you questioning, how do we kill something like that? And I was asking, do we have to cut her up? Is that the only way to beat her? You know, if you cut her up so much and have all the parts separated, can she even heal herself at that? Like, can she regenerate no matter what? Later in the episode, we see half of her face has been, bludgeoned. So we're questioning, well, can she come back from that? Is she brain dead? But no, she comes back. So it's not to do with the brain either. Is it maybe the heart? So many questions running through my mind as to how to take her out at this point. I kind of had thought in the past that the cloak she wears was something to do with it, because times where she would regenerate or come back after we were certain that she was dead, she would come back without her cloak. So it felt almost like, well, is that cloak like a second life type thing where she uses that cloak somehow to shield herself from death, and then once she does that, it's no more use and she has to, discard it. So yeah, I didn't understand how that worked. And then we learn later on that she is indeed a vampire, which is very surprising to me because I did not expect those to be a thing in this world. I know that there are beasts, ma beasts, and half beasts and everything like this, but I really did not expect there to be vampires in this world. And I'm starting to wonder now, like, is that something that we should be thinking about looking into more? I think it's Daphne is her name, the one that's in the coffin, the witch. I'm assuming she was a vampire because we are told that one of the witches was a vampire, and that's the only one that makes sense because she talks about the taste of others and everything, and she's in a coffin, so she's the best bet for all of that, I would say. So yeah, that's crazy, and that opens up a whole new realm of possibility. Like, are there other things out there that we have not considered? Obviously the first thing you're going to think of would be like werewolves perhaps, and we know that maybe the equivalent of a werewolf in this series is someone like Garf, right? And yeah, I just think it's really cool that we actually get that, and it's not this huge out of nowhere surprise. If anything, it just finally gives us the answers as to what was going on, what is going on, what Elsa is, because we've known for a long time there's something weird about Elsa. And yeah, Garf is as brave and brash and just Garf as ever. He's saying that it doesn't matter how many times she heals, he's just going to beat her up, beat her down, and make sure she can't heal eventually. And yeah, I love this confidence and this side of Garf. He is so fun to follow when he's on our side opposed to someone that we're facing off against. And then he starts to rant about how his boss being Subaru, of course, will deal with all the ma beasts, he'll face them head on, and he won't have any issues with any of them. And yet again, it's such a funny scene because we know from the end of the previous episode that Subaru is going to struggle with these ma beasts because there's nothing he can do, there's nothing anyone that he is with can do. The only people that could have dealt with them would have been Rem, who is completely unconscious and sleeping, and perhaps Otto through his ability to speak with things, which is honestly what I thought was going to happen. I thought that he would speak with them, but I guess that didn't happen. That was not the case. And it's honestly comical when it does cut back to Subaru and the gang running ahead, because it's right after he says it doesn't matter how many you send at him, he's going to beat them all. And then you just see him running away screaming with everyone. It's really, really funny. It's honestly great comedic timing too. So Subaru declares that he's going to use his knowledge of the real world to take out this big ma beast that's chasing them. And that's when we see him acting very suspicious, where he's standing in front of it and runs into a room. We know obviously this ma beast is going to run into the room after him, but it makes you wonder, what is his plan here? What is he going to do? I thought that he was going to use some sort of technology or something, but then that wouldn't have made sense because he didn't have any technology with him. So then it would actually make sense that he would employ something that he's learned from the real world via a class that he is taking. And in this case, he would have been trying to do something in relation with like a chemistry class and chemicals and flames, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't work out because when he throws dust out onto the flame and everything, it doesn't blow up. It simply does nothing. So it makes you wonder, is that something that would have happened in the real world? Would that have worked in the real world? And is the fact that it didn't work here telling you that this world does not follow the same, formula, the same everything? Like everything won't be the exact same here as it would in the modern world. And I don't know how to better word that, but I'm hoping that what I mean gets across well. And so it ends up being Otto and Petra who just start pelting the Ma Beast and the ground and everything with the oil that Otto bought. The oil that he was hoping to sell for a bit of change because he bought so much of it. And I think it was really funny getting to see the oil being used in this way. It reminds me of the end of season 1 when it was being used against Betelgeuse. But yeah, place goes up in flames and the Ma Beast is on fire and jumps out the window to try to save itself, but in doing so probably dies. We don't see the body for sure, so we don't get that confirmation, but a safe assumption. It's safe to assume that that is indeed what happened, unless something else got in the way or there's some bullshit down the line, but for now, it's dead. But they've got a greater danger ahead of them now. The whole place is going up in flames. The whole of the Mather's mansion is going up in flames. It's no longer just within this one room. It's spreading and it's spreading fast. So they all need to get out of there. They all need to run and get to safety. But that's when Subaru recalls that he needs to go back and save Beatrice. Beatrice is far too important and Beatrice means far too much to Subaru to leave behind. But he tells the other two to take Rem and to go ahead to the secret room in Roswell's place in order to escape. So that's what they go to do. They split up and we don't get to see what happens with either of them after this point. That's the last time we see either of them. But seeing Subaru run into the flames was intense. And another thing I kind of want to talk about is I love that when Subaru is speaking about Beatrice to Petra, he says that they would be great friends. I love that because Beatrice is someone that we know needs friends. And I'm hoping that we do get to see some friendships blossom beyond this point with Beatrice in particular. And of course, it's always funny to hear Otto, of all people, say he's going to throttle Subaru if he doesn't come back alive. This is then when we get to the Amelia portion of the episode. And within this section of the episode, we get to see the third trial being faced. And this is the one that takes the least amount of time for Amelia. It seems like there's almost no... It's hard to tell if there's kind of like a win condition for this one, a passing condition. It feels like, it's very front loaded with the trials, where the first trial in particular is perhaps the toughest because, you have to look to your past and nobody likes to look into their past because there's always going to be things that you try to forget or that you don't want to remember or that you don't know that will change your future, will change your life perhaps. And then, of course, looking at the present, it's something that is currently happening, so it's difficult to also then take a step back and think, well, is this present the one that I want? Is this idea of a present something that I want to work towards? It's really interesting that then with the final one, with the future, it's not necessarily that there's a win condition, unless there is, and it's when Amelia kind of comes to the realization that none of these things will necessarily come true. Maybe that was the win condition and she passed it so easily that she didn't need to voice that. But anyway, she is floating in this vast emptiness and then suddenly she sees all these stars. All these stars can represent perhaps different worlds, different people, different voices and everything. But I think it's very interesting that it was stars that were used because a lot of the characters within ReZero are named after stars, after constellations, and just anything like that. Subaru, for example, is one like that. And all of these stars are kind of like representing a different person in a different future who is telling her something, or that is saying something that maybe she is privy to or that she was present for within the future. And obviously these are all things that won't necessarily come true. They're possibilities for the future, but she's hearing all kinds of crazy shit, and it's so overwhelming, and there's so much here that it's honestly impossible to go back and pick out who said what, figure out, what this is all relating to. But it feels very much like every character at some point might have something that they go through, and she is braving all of this knowledge and hearing all of this with a strong heart. She is hearing it, and it's not wavering her. She is not being affected. She is simply just bracing and hearing all of what they have to say. And within this as well, we do see a future that Emilia physically sees opposed to just hearing, where she sees herself saying, I hate you, I've always hated you, I've hated you since the day I met you. And all I can think of is that this might be about Subaru. But it looks like she's standing in front of the mother's mansion, and it looks like it's been burnt down. There's blood everywhere. So I'm wondering then if there's something there that she isn't happy with the place being burnt down, if something happens there, if someone dies, if this is going to be the location of a battle in the future. Something could happen there, and we don't have those answers. But the filter and the red look over everything, and just the way she's saying I hate you with like an almost sadness in her voice, it's really making me wonder if this is indeed about Subaru. And maybe this is going to be a future that we actually learn about, that we actually might see in the future, because this is one we physically see with our own eyes. So she's going to be working towards altering these futures and making sure that they don't come to pass, and I would imagine that this would be one of them as well. So yeah, there's some crazy shit here that Emilia is going to have to figure out, and Emilia is probably still a part of in the future, and we're hopefully going to see a lot more Emilia within these episodes in the future. But after this then, Emilia does see Rem, but she also sees Subaru beside Rem, and they both have this crazy filter over them, almost like you don't know who they are. It's almost like it's showing us the outline of someone that we remember, but we don't know what they look like, we don't know anything about them. Like, it's kind of giving me that look, and it's making me think that maybe Subaru will also be erased by Laibat and Kaidos. At least that's how it appears anyway here, that might be the case. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there, because that did not look great for Subaru. Emilia wakes up at the tea party, and there's no Echidna in sight. Echidna does not want to see her. Echidna, who, maybe this would have been the case with anyone who had passed all the trials, like maybe it's not just Emilia, but it's the fact that, especially that it's Emilia that passed the trials, she does not want to see her. She does not want to appear here whatsoever, because she doesn't want this barrier to be taken down in the first place. And so the fact that it's been Emilia who's succeeded in doing so, it hurts, it stings a lot for her, and she is not happy one bit. So instead, Emilia is just there, like, kind of looking around, like, where is Echidna? Echidna's always shown up to these things when I'm here. Where is she this time? And that is then when we have Minerva show up. And Minerva is basically like, do not turn around, and has her finger pushed against the back of Emilia's head. And I wonder if Minerva showing up here has deeper meaning. We know that Minerva is someone who deeply feels and cares about people and wants to help them, wants to heal them. We saw that with the end of the first part of the season 2, when Subaru bit his tongue off, and Minerva was immediately jumping into action trying to help him, because she cares about people. But there is also the tease that she could be a little more than that later in the episode. And yeah, Minerva here in this episode calls Emilia a good girl and I think a bad girl at one point. And yeah, I just don't understand. She's like, don't turn around and everything. And then Minerva is basically explaining why Echidna did not show up here. To which Emilia replies, yeah, Echidna's pretty mean, isn't she? And Minerva's like, that's all you have to say? Mean? So it's very funny, and it really just further emphasizes the way Emilia thinks. She doesn't hold grudges or anything like that. And apparently Emilia was only supposed to see one future, but the fact that she saw so many and heard so many might have been Echidna just kind of taking it all out on her. But at the same time, it's making me think, is this in relation to Subaru's ability, Return by Death, where there are suddenly so many different futures that it's showing her all of those? Or is it simply just showing her a bunch of random futures because Echidna hates her? And yeah, I loved hearing then Emilia step up and say, hey, these futures aren't written in stone. These futures can be changed, and so long as I have an idea of what could come and I can work towards making sure that doesn't happen, then I'm happy enough. I can change that. I can make sure that future doesn't come to pass, because these are not 100% going to happen. It's just an idea of a future that could happen. Great character. I love her character development, the way it has gone this season. We have seen her go from little shy Emilia who doesn't want to hurt or upset anyone, to Emilia who is standing up to business and doing whatever it takes to get shit done. And then we get a huge tease where Minerva reveals that she knows Emilia's mother, which makes sense because Emilia's mother is supposedly a witch. So which witch would that be? We're basically told that Emilia is strong, unlike her mother. So whoever the mother of Emilia is, it's a character who is seen as weak, or that sees himself as weak, or that never acts out in things that they wish to. So I'm going to have to start looking into other characters then when we meet them, other witches and stuff, to see who I think it might be. But right now, my main guess is that it might be Minerva herself, because after Emilia speaks, she turns her around and pulls her in and gives her a big hug with tears in her eyes. And that, happens after Emilia says that her mother is Mother Fortuna. And then she starts crying. Minerva, that is. So yeah, I can only assume at this point that this is kind of giving you clues and hints that it's Minerva herself without telling us, but we'll obviously learn more as the series goes forward. I'm just really at this point waiting for those answers. I need to know. After Emilia turns around to say, you have the right to cry, everyone has the right to cry, Minerva pulls her in, gives her a big hug and says, you're a bad girl. So yeah, I can only assume, I don't know how to keep saying that, but yeah, this seems very motherly almost. And yeah, Emilia is like, well, I'm gonna go now. There's the door, it's been opened and the seal has been lifted. There's no more barrier over the sanctuary, and all I need to do now is go through that door. And she says, hey, if you see Echidna, tell her when I see her again, let's have a tea party. Which is very funny, but it's also so cute for Emilia. So yeah, Emilia goes in and sees the streaming consciousness of the barrier that is emitting out of Echidna, and she smashes it. She destroys it and lifts the barrier entirely. And as she goes to celebrate with the people, she finds that the whole village is covered in snow. It has been turned into winter, and I'm wondering now if that is because of the fight that's happening between Roswell and Puck, where Puck, maybe used too much ice and everything like that and summoned a winter essentially, or not. But regardless, it certainly looks as though the Great Rabbit is on its way, or is already here. Even if that's not the case yet, the fact that there's so much mana being used and there's such a great draw from the fact that there is a fight between Roswell and Puck happening right now, I can't imagine they're too far away. They're probably being drawn in here to this by the fight. So that's scary. And all I can think of is Beatrice better hurry up and get here. Mealy and Frederica show up to the fight between Elsa and Garth, and this starts to turn into a 2v2, which I think is really cool. I would have loved to honestly see them both fighting alongside one another here, Garth and Frederica, but it doesn't really happen. It happens kind of, but also not really. But it's still nice to see that they both have help, they both have support, and they both have people they care about. And this ends up being Elsa's undoing later in the episode. The fact that Mealy is here and the fact that Mealy is her weakness. We didn't think she had one, but she does. And we are shown that a little later on. And yeah, Elsa calls Mealy her sister. They are a sister duo, that sister-sibling duo. And I think that the fact that we've got siblings versus siblings here is really, really cool. I love the idea. I wonder if what Garth says here has importance, where he says, they say the master swordsman Reed laughed as he drew his sword against a dragon, which is supposed to be, a saying used to describe someone who's insane or dumb or whatever Elsa describes it as. But I can only assume that this Reed might have been a real character in this world who maybe had actual relevancy and importance that maybe we'll get to learn later. And maybe Reed was part of the group that took down the dragon, or that sealed the dragon away, or whatever it was. I can't remember. We learned something really cool about Garf's abilities and what he's able to do. So long as his feet are on the ground and he can see someone, anything he can see is within his range that he can attack because of his divine protection with the earth spirits. That's really cool because he's effectively an earthbender, you could say, but I think that's very fitting and very just fitting, I guess, for Garf as a character, because he's someone who is very hard, tough, and loves a good fight, and he's very rock hard. Like, I think it's very, very fitting for him. Even though he might not always be the most grounded character, he kind of flies off the handlebars a lot, but I do think that this is very fitting for him as a character. We see Garf and Elsa show each other respect as they use each other's names as they step towards each other, telling their siblings to stay back. And man, this was such a cool moment, seeing the way they stepped up and used each other's names and everything. Yeah, they cooked, and they knew that they cooked with this. It was really, really badass. But yeah, they start fighting anyway. They're fighting for a bit, and then Elsa manages to get a hit in on Garf's shoulder. And that's when Garf really cleverly transforms just his arm in order to smack Elsa away. I thought that shit was so cool. I loved it so much. This was such a cool thing to see. I really, really thought this was badass. So while Elsa's off healing, it's time for Mealy to step up, and Mealy tries to send the big hippo after Garf, but Garf's able to dispatch of this hippo really, really quickly. He full transforms and twists its neck until it pops, basically. It's kind of crazy. And that's then when we see Garf has to untransform as he returns to his human form, and his t-shirt's been stripped away. He looks more stripped away and more bare than ever. He's not at full strength, and Elsa reminds him of that, the fact that she can keep healing forever but he cannot, and she will beat him quite easily here is kind of what you're getting. But Garf says, hey, I'm not down yet, you haven't beat me. So it shows his fighter spirit, and it shows that he will never back down from a fight. And then we hear Garf drop just out of nowhere, hey, I know you're a vampire because I read books. And as Elsa then says, that makes him very endearing. He is so precious. The fact that he is a character who fights and all this, he looks real rough, tough and everything, but he reads books. He reads up, he studies. So I think it does make him very endearing, and I do love his character a lot, but at the same time, it makes me surprised and worried about how he's going to beat her. But then we do learn, obviously, that one of the witches was a vampire, and Garf, in his own clever way, says, well, that witch is dead. That means I can kill you. So yeah, I guess it can, but we don't know how the witch died, so we don't know for sure how it happens. But Garf is confident, and when Garf is confident, he gets shit done. And we learn some lore and backstory for Elsa, and it's very grim. She grew up in Gusteco, which is all the way in the north, which is very icy, cold, wintry, and snowy at all times. And she just had to steal to survive because she didn't have anyone. She wasn't really being raised or anything. She had to fend for herself, and so she would steal from people. She would steal from shops, and one day she got caught stealing from a shop, and this creepy pedo asshole undressed her all the way down to nothing. And then that's when she happened to find a piece of glass that she shoved into his bowels, which is where she learned to love bowels, because this was the first time in her life she felt warmth and she felt safe. She felt all these feelings and emotions that she's never felt before because she was able to take this creepy dick and asshole down. So that's where her love for bowels came from. And Garf hilariously is like, hey, why are you telling me all this? I really don't give a shit. And she's like, I know you don't. And then he's like, well, if you know I don't, then shut up and let's fight, basically. It's very, very funny from Garf, and it makes a lot of sense. But I, as a viewer, I'm loving hearing about Elsa because we didn't really know anything about her. And that's then when she's calling him even more endearing and everything. And she basically says, I will love you the moment you die because I'll cut you up. The fight rages on, and it's so great because this fire really makes things all the more intense. It adds so much anxiety to the scene, and we get to see them square off. They're fighting, blades are flying, and somehow one of Garth's shields things gets broken, and that's then when Elsa comes in for a blow, but the ceiling, the roof above Melee is starting to collapse, and that makes Elsa hesitate. She turns around and goes to save Melee, but that's then when we see Frederica saves her, and that puts Elsa in a bad position because Garth is able to get the jump on her, and they're both biting down on each other's necks, very vampire style. That's kind of it then. She's lying there, and Garth stands up, grabs the big hippo thing, and tosses it on top of Elsa. And she has this moment where she has a lot of introspection, and it's very clear that she wouldn't have changed a thing. Like, she wouldn't have been reformable, and so killing her is honestly probably the only way to deal with someone like that. She was happy with the way she lived her life past the point where she took her first life, and nothing will ever change that. She did a lot of bad shit, and she had to go. And Garth took care of business. And then I love the name of the episode, Love Me Down to My Blood and Guts, because that's Elsa in a nutshell right there. That sums her up perfectly. And this takes us to the final scene of the episode with Ram, Roswaal, and of course Puck, everyone's favorite. And they are kind of just conversing here. They're not actually fighting as of right now. And here we have Roswaal saying he's glad that he took this fight outside because he doesn't want anything to happen to the crystal. This crystal, which has Ryuzu still within it, probably means too much to him. It's too important. But I don't know if it's important because it was important to Roswaal, or if it's important because it was part of what Echidna wanted. It was part of a plan that she created. So I'm not sure where that coin flips there, but you know, it makes what is said later on with the fact that it would make Beatrice sad have more weight, because if it's Roswaal that would feel upset if anything happened to Ryuzu, it would make sense then that Roswaal would be sad if anything happened to Beatrice because of that closeness from way back when. But at the same time, we have not seen Roswaal be really nice or considerate of Beatrice this entire series. He is almost just dismissive of her, and he just doesn't really care what happens to her regardless of his plans. And so Roswaal starts to goad Ram into fleeing while he is distracted by Puck, and that is so that she can achieve her goal. I don't really understand what he thinks her goal is, because my understanding of what he thinks her goal is for her to kill Roswaal, for revenge for her brethren and everything. But if he thinks that she should flee, like, what? Like, why would that? I just don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something about her goal and her dream, whatever it is that she wants. Unless I'm misinterpreting, and when he's saying, you know, about an opening, he doesn't mean for her to use that opening to escape, but to attack him while he's distracted. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's a lot more simple than I was thinking. And yes, we learn that he put a spell on Leah. He put a spell on Amelia in order to keep her in a constant state of fear, worry, anxiety, and, you know, basically made it so that she wouldn't be able to move on. And that kind of messes with the contract between Amelia and Puck. So yeah, he's a bad guy. He's a bad egg, and he's been scheming and planning and plotting for a very long time. And then we get another thing that Roswaal says that I think I misinterpreted within this episode. He says that, unlike you, I am not just testing Subaru to see if he's worthy of my dear daughter. I think this is him teasing Puck because that's what Puck is doing, but he's saying that Subaru is part of his grand scheme and the last part that he needs in order to fulfill his dearest wish. Seemingly, Puck remembers what happened before the contract with Amelia. Puck seems to remember things that happened in the past now that he did not recall before. So now I'm starting to wonder what he could tell us, what he could teach us and make us aware of from the past. Because a character from that long ago that is on our side who can give us these answers is very important. And it makes me wonder then if he knows about Amelia's parents or anything like that. But really what he talks about here is that he recalls someone who talked just like Roswaal once upon a time. And I can only think of Hector, because Hector also had this kind of weird way of talking that had like like Roswaal does now. So yeah, something happened there with Roswaal and Hector, and yeah, I don't know what happened. We haven't really been told that just yet, but there's something there for sure. And I think it's really cool then when Puck kind of dismisses the past and says, you know, that's looking back. That's being backwards faced. And that's when Roswaal says, yes, all the most wonderful things that have ever happened to me are in the past. But when Puck was talking about the past, it felt almost like he was saying, that's in the past. We're in the present, you know, like forget about the past, think about the now. Whereas Roswaal is the complete opposite, and he cannot dismiss the past whatsoever. He is still working for his past. He's working towards making things the way they were back then, and that obviously has to do with Echidna. He wants Echidna back. I'm sure that's part of his grand wish. But then what does Echidna or Subaru have to do with the dragon that he mentioned all the way back in season 1? And then interestingly, it's when Puck hits back with a mention of Betty that Roswaal kicks off and he summons the first attack. He shouts and he screams Algoa, tries to burn, you know, Puck and everything. So that hit a nerve. There is still some touchy, sensitive subject with Beatrice. And Puck recognized this. Puck says, yep, I knew it. I hit it right on the head and you're responding in such a childish way. Ram gets smacked out of the way, and then that's when we get a really, really interesting scene. And this is a scene where Ram proclaims her love for Roswaal. And I've already talked about kind of my feelings on that, you know, that phrase of, you know, I love you, Roswaal. I've already talked about that, so I'm not really going to spend much more time talking about that part because I've already talked about that already. But I do think it's very interesting the way she responds, where she's just like, yeah, my goal is not to take you down, it's not to do this, that, the other. And she even says, you know, all of this happened with the book. The book is the source of all these problems. And so later in the episode then we see her go to attack Roswaal. She gets the jump, she gets the sneak attack that he gave her a heads up that she should take. And when we think she's going to kill him, which is exactly what Roswaal would have thought because of her brethren and all of this, she instead snatches the book. And in doing so, she is able to burn it, which is such a great moment. And yes, someone of Roswaal's stature and who he is and everything, he can't understand how someone like Ram could love him because of what he did to her. But that just makes it all the more interesting because his last thoughts before seeing the book get burned are of his past and his love for Echidna. So he does know what love is. And in the same way, Echidna used Roswaal and Roswaal was using Ram. So they both were victims of being used and falling in love with the person that used them. But for some reason, Roswaal can't understand that. Roswaal doesn't see it that way with Echidna. So that's what makes this very dynamic between him and Ram all the more interesting. I think it was so cool seeing big Puck, but it wasn't like the big scary Puck, it was actual big goofy Puck. I thought that was a really cool shot, the shot with the shadow Puck. It reminded me almost like of a Kingdom Hearts Shadow Heartless or something. I just thought it was really cool. That's then kind of how the episode ends, you know, with the book burning and everything. And yeah, I'm very interested to see what that means next for Roswaal, what that means for Ram if Ram is dead, because we saw her get blasted away. Her body looked almost ragdolly as she was blasted away, and we don't know what's to come. There are 2 more episodes, and I'm expecting a lot from these next 2 episodes, probably more from Roswaal, Ram, Puck, Garf, Subaru, Emilia, and maybe even the Great Rabbit. Who knows what is to come, but this was a phenomenal episode. I have so much praise for it, and I'm so glad we're back with ReZero. But yeah, that's going to do it for me for today. If you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Comment down below letting me know if this is your favorite episode or if any of the other episodes are your favorite. And of course, as always, hit the notification bell down below so that you will be notified when any of these videos do go live on the channel, and share this with a friend or anyone at all who you think might enjoy episode reactions to ReZero. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. I hope that you guys are having a great day today and that you're able to take it easy. I will see you in the next one. Take care.